Hello everybody, Andy from Glass Half Dead here, and today we are looking at the Gallowfall, the final set of the second season of Kill Team. And I've got to say the two teams that we have today certainly live up to the concept of Gallow falling. That's right, it's the inevitable fall of the massive Space Hulk, presumably onto some sort of jungle world. Fingers crossed, let's see about that. And our two teams very much live up to the idea of getting stronger as they die. And they do it in completely different ways, so I think we have some really interesting teams to discuss here. The Hearthkyn Salvagers are just the Hearthkyn Warriors box, but with a standard Kill Team upgrade sprue. They're on 28mm bases, they're a 10 warrior team. And if you want to hear more about them, check the timestamps below. Whereas the Fellgor Ravagers are an all-new, brand new kit. Of course, they're based on Beastmen, and I didn't care about Beastmen. Goats aren't my thing. So I kit bashed them with an aberrant kit. They're on 32mm bases. Again, they're a 10 warrior team. Very interestingly for them, first time we've seen this, it's an all-new kit, but the way the sprue is laid out, you've got your two standards, and then you've got an expansion sprue still. So I think we're going to see these released for 40k without the expansion sprue. So it might be a brand new specialist Kill Team kit that has come to Kill Team first, that will then go to 40k without the Kill Team expansion sprue? Maybe, we'll see. Now, if you want to see how these two teams perform on the Into the Dark terrain board, go and check out Full Scale Wargaming, where I've got a video live right now with a highly edited, high quality battle report. Go check that out. I think it'll be pretty sweet. Chef's kiss, no doubt. Let's see how the edit goes on that one, right? But not to worry, I'm going to give them brief overviews here. Now, the next bit is a subscriber-only benefit, so if you are a subscriber to my channel, I'd like to give you a big double hello. Wow, so wholesome. Wholesomeness is good, but what is a double hello? Well, it's a pleasantry that is given to you twice. It's in the word, pleasantry, pleasant. I hope that was pleasant for you. Anyway, if you like what I do here, consider checking out my Patreon. All the support you can give there is amazing. Otherwise, just watching until the end of the video, giving a like, a subscribe, a comment, all that good stuff, really cool. And of course, check out my other channel, Full Scale Wargaming. Okay, let's crack on. Of course, we have to talk about the terrain. It's another set of Into the Dark, no changes, but we get a different narrative sprue. Now, from the narrative sprue side, it looks lovely. I'm sure it's great. Everybody's happy with it, no doubt. And certainly, if you've enjoyed creating your own Space Hulk, I think this has been a great year for you when it comes to Kill Team. You've got lots of stuff, both for core walls and for creating really interesting individual rooms. But let's be honest, we already know whether or not we like the Into the Dark terrain and whether you're buying a kit for the Into the Dark terrain. So I don't really have anything to add to that. You know what you're getting at this point. And of course, with all of that said, I think we can all agree that although this has been great, I personally am really looking forward to what comes in the next season of Kill Team. Now, from a hobby perspective, the Leagues of Votann are just more of the Leagues of Votann. If you like the existing Hearthkyn Warriors, you will probably, almost certainly, like this new Salvagers team. But if you don't like the Leagues of Votann, then this sprue does nothing for you. In a sense, it's kind of like the Phobos team. The Phobos sprue, upgrade sprue, wasn't a bad sprue. If you like Phobos Marines, this gives you alternative loadouts and builds and sculpts, which is really cool. But if you don't like Phobos, that sprue doesn't change what you think of Phobos. Same here for the Hearthkyn Warriors. Now, personally, I'm really happy with my yellow and blue IKEA/Ukrainian flag scheme with my Leagues of Votann. So I will play these Short Kings any day just because of how I think I've made them look, which is awesome. But of course, we do have to talk about the Fellgor Ravagers. Now, I've obviously done a little bit of a weird conversion on them, perhaps. Let's talk about that very briefly. The team is goats. So look, when you're putting a team onto a board, it's all about the power fantasy that you're creating in your mind palace as to how it translates on the board. I don't want to be a goat. No part of me can role play that fantasy, right? So I thought to myself, what can I do for conversions? Well, step one would have been like green stuff or 3D print a bunch of snouts to make them werewolves. Werewolves infinitely cooler than goats. I would have been okay with that. I didn't have that ability, so instead I took an aberrant kit for Genestealer cults and just smashed them together, and I got something out of the other side. Somebody in my Discord just mentioned, hey, what about Lizardmen, the Saurus warriors? That would be a great option. Basically, any kind of monstrously non-human Xenos-looking thing on a 32mm base will probably work with this kit. It is a nice kit. Anyway, goats weren't for me, so I went with a weird aberrant team, and I finally got my Tyranid team in Kill Team. Can you tell I had the release of Tyranids in 10th edition on my mind when I kit bashed these? Because I did, yeah. However, I've got to be honest, Genestealer cults wasn't my end goal with these. I, as mentioned, wanted to think about my Tyranid army in 10th edition. And you know what sucks about Tyranids? Having to paint so many damn models, right? I want new Termagants, I want new Hormagaunts, but I don't really want to like do more hobby than I have to. I'm not really a big painter fan. So I put all of my guys here on 25mm bases. And because they're on 25mm bases, they're a pretty valid proxy in a weird kit bash sort of a way over in 40k. Because it's the right base size. And they've got guns. That's a Termagant, baby. So then I had to think of a way that I could put 25mm bases and make them legal in Kill Team, where again it matters about the correct base size. Well, there's a company called Warfactor that are doing these really nifty extender bases here. So what I've got is I've got everything on a 25mm base, and then I've got 28mm extenders for my Leagues of Votann, and I've got 32mm extenders for my Fellgor Ravagers. And then on top of that, although they're all going to be in 40k Termagants, so what they are doesn't really matter, of course in Kill Team, the specific model that you're using it as really matters. So all of the models have the actual name of the unit they are on the front. Now even with my Savages, even though I have used the base model and basically just done a head swap, I've still got Gnarlscar, I've still got Flux Spray on the base. So they are perfect. There is no mistaking the model, no matter how crazy I want to get with conversions, nobody can complain. Although I do see that you have just complained in the comments, so thank you for proving me wrong once again. And so they're really quite funky. I just take my 25mm base and I pop it on, and that's it. There you go. It goes from a 25mm base to a 32mm base. Super easy. Love it. Warfactor is doing a Kickstarter, which is linked in the links below somewhere, and if you use my affiliate link, then you get 20% off whatever the Kickstarter price is, so go check that out. Like, this is such a niche use case scenario, but it fits me to a T, and that's why I'm saying, hey, go check these guys out, because very genuinely, I love doing this sort of thing, putting things on the minimum possible base size, and then proxying them as something else. Like, let's say I wanted to do my Hearthkyn as intercession. Not a problem, I could just take the 25mm base, so they can be a Termagant in 40k, and then I just get a different base extender printed, not so much because I want the base to be extended, although I do, but also because I can have one that says Grenadier, so it can be what it needs to be for the Hearthkyn Salvager team, but then I could get another one printed that says Auxiliary Gunner or Assault Intercessor Grenadier for my intercession team. So actually, this makes me have to do less hobby, and I will 100% do less hobby. Okay, so just a brief team overview. The Hearthkyn Salvagers. So we've got a 10 model team, although there are like 15 options, so you are going to need 2 boxes or to magnetize. I'm not gonna lie, you kind of have to with this team. You've got 3 gunners. I do think there are some best ones, which I think honestly are the ones I've built here, but perhaps you want to build the other 2 as well. And then you've got kind of 4 options that you're going to swap between, depending on who you're going against and your personal play style. So you kind of want to build them all. And then you've got your Thane, that's your leader, who has 9 possible weapon options, and that's 3 melee, 6 ranged, and there isn't a best one. And there's no like, if you want the plasma pistol, you have to take this. No, you could take any possible combination. So here's one of the few models that I would probably say, yeah, you need to magnetize that, which is a little bit rough, perhaps, for beginners. I think they're a pretty standard team in that, like, when it comes to their ploys, you basically just think, hey, am I going to do a big shooting turn this turn or next turn, and then play all of your ploys when you're going to make the big offensive. Otherwise, they're pretty chilled out, pretty standard. I think the team's going to reward a very slow and steady style of play, partly because they are slow, you know, to circle move, right? But although you get stronger as you die because of grudge, you do just kind of have to continually trudge up the board because you're so slow without any ways to really manipulate that movement speed. If you find yourself having been left behind for a turn, what do? You have to keep moving. You have to advance to the center of that board and then just hope you can tank whatever they throw your way. Which of course brings us to their grudge ability. This is whenever an enemy model kills one of your guys, they get a grudge token. What does the grudge token do? Well, for every grudge token on the enemy model that you're attacking, you can turn a hit to a crit. So, okay, yes, they're a 4-up ballistic skill team, but a lot of those 4-ups are actually going to be crits, if you want to view it that way. So as I say, they get stronger as they lose models, which is an interesting thing for them. So even with the gunners, I think you're going to have to be pushing up with this team. It's going to be interesting to see how they really work. I do want to say though, one negative with the team is just how many abilities they have. Look, as 10th edition has released and has shown that GW knows how to write slightly more concise rules perhaps, going through my patrons will see it. I did a man reads book for them and halfway through I just got pissed off and stopped reading because there's just, the abilities are just so dense to read, it's so boring. And this Hearthkyn Salvagers team, there are so many abilities on every data sheet, which is fine as a concept. That's how skirmish games work. If you want a skirmish game to be more than Warcry, which people have clearly shown they do not like as a competitive game, you have to have deeper rules for individual models. Cool. But man, it's getting real rough to just read the rules for Kill Team. But back on track, I do love the idea of the grudge ability, as it's going to make you stronger as you lose models, which is going to stop the natural snowball effect of losing models. So that's actually pretty cool. They're slow, they're steady, but they're going to hang in there till the end of the game. Then of course we've got the Fellgor, and their big ability is Frenzy. Let me just quickly, Frenzy. Frenzy, when you're going to be incapacitated, you don't get incapacitated until the end of your next turn, or until you get critted in melee. That's essentially how this team works. Again, it's a little bit of an interesting design space, so you don't have any shooting, essentially. Every model is just a melee model, and you hit stuff. So if you're a beginner, and you just want to have a team that runs forward and just hits everybody, this is the team for you. However, they are all slightly different, and they're all slightly different in what they do in a way that doesn't jump off the model. I don't really know when looking at this team which model does what. For example, one of them is, 4 attacks hitting on 3s and it's 4-5 with brutal, whereas another one is 4 attacks hitting on 4s and it's 5-6 with stun. It's like, which is which? One of them does extra damage on the charge, one of them can fight twice, one of them can whatever. And there's nothing on the model that really says, oh yeah, this is the one that does that. So it's actually kind of annoyingly a little bit of a finicky team in the sense of they all just run forwards and fight, but they all do something very slightly different. So you are going to have your book to hand for a long time with this team, even though what you're doing is just running forwards and hitting stuff. Every model, essentially a commando, as I said, they're 10 wounds, 5-up saves. Let's talk about Frenzy. Here's my hot take. This is the new strongest team in the game. I'm just going to throw that out there, right? Let's get a hot take. Feel free to disagree with me. Because of Frenzy, the way it works is normally in Kill Team, it's all about the wound breakpoints. Like how much damage do you have to do to incapacitate that model? With this team, you have to do that, you still have to incapacitate the model, but then they don't incapacitate. So this team essentially starts the game on turn 2. You literally can't take a model off the board turn 1. And in reality, they're obviously going to play a very sneaky game. So really, you're not taking a single model off the board until turn 3. That's really difficult to deal with. This team doesn't lose strength until turn 3. And we all know that turn 2 is the biggest turn of the game. So think about all of your games and how they've gone, and how turn 2, we all agree, is the defining turn of 90% of games, right? It's when you start to get the clashes. It's when you start to take tactical models off the board, you get the shots you can, so that you have them weaker for turn 3 and you can start mopping up. This team ignores that. This team doesn't lose a model till turn 3. This team is probably the strongest team in the game. I know a lot of people, you know, they don't want to make like a big grand statement about a team's power level until it's seen. I'm cool with saying it, that's fine. Don't you worry about me, I got you. This is the strongest team in the game. And I think it's the strongest team because of just the raw data sheet. I think this is going to be the strongest team at all levels of play because Frenzy is so strong. To the point that I'm pretty sure in 3 months this team will be nerfed in some way on how exactly their Frenzy works in the game. It's a really cool idea. I wouldn't want that Frenzy ability to be removed, but it needs to become something like you are always half damage beyond this, or you can only charge the closest model, or something like that. This team out of the gate, OP broken. There you go. And that's all there is to Gallowfall. Hey, thank you for watching this Gallowfall review. If you made it to the end of the video, I'd like to give you a big triple hello. Wow, so much wholesome both at the beginning and the end of the video. Triple pleasantries have to be better than double pleasantries, and that's what you get for watching to the end of the video. Everybody, like I said, if you want to see these teams in action, and if you want to see the thoughts of me and the #1, at the time of recording, player in the UK playing them, go and check out the battle report on Full Scale Wargaming, where we get into a little bit more about how the teams actually play on the tabletop. If you want to get a more fuller review of the teams and the stats, etc., go and check those out, because at the same time as this Gallowfall review have gone up, the Hearthkyn Salvagers review and the Fellgor Ravagers review have both gone up on Glass Half Dead. You can go check them out right now. Anyway, that's the end of the Gallowfall review. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have a good day and stay hydrated. Woo. Lovely.